Penny Mordaunt, why do we need 3 maritime age ships?
Well, I looked at what the government alone uses its maritime assets for, and it's a huge range of tasks. We do humanitarian and disaster relief, we deliver freight and passengers, we've used vessels for migration operations, we quite often use aircraft carriers for trade exhibitions.
All Royal Navy.
Yes, and expensive ships to operate. So a few years ago, I mapped all of the unmet need that was out there. And it was at the time when Chris Grayling at the Department for Transport was trying to find some ferries as well. And I looked at actually what would be the most cost-effective way of running it. And over the years, this project has developed. And the concept are ships that are run privately and they're built using private finance, but they have low operating costs so that different organisations, whether it's the government or whether it's a particular business or sector that wants to run a trade expo, or it's a fantastic charity that wants to provide aid and assistance, they can charter these vessels. But the other nifty thing is that they are training platforms, so they also generate an additional income. And they are going to be 50% manned by apprentices. And that helps not just us, but Commonwealth, merchant navies and others, because we have a shortage of sea time for merchant mariners. So this fits a training need as well.
They're built in UK shipyards, crewed by Brits or by apprentices maybe, or is it the Navy? Or?
So the idea is that we could provide training to Commonwealth nations in particular. The partner I'm working with, Britannia Maritime Aid, has a background in humanitarian relief, but I'm also working with partners who do training. And in fact, one of the proposals is we have a simulator, a bridge simulator on the vessel as well. So that is meeting a clear need. It will generate income. We're particularly focused on the Commonwealth, and the reason why we want 3 ships is that eventually we can operate those 3 and we can have 1 per ocean, which will enable us to cover about 90% of the Commonwealth.
So we're reconnecting maybe Brits to the sea. We are an island nation, aren't we?
We are a maritime nation, and if we want to remain a maritime nation, it's in our interests we do. 90% of everything you've eaten or touched today has come here by sea. We need to be investing in our merchant navy, and we need to be providing our mariners and other nations with sea time. It's a huge that education is a huge export in itself. And you're right, this is also it's about global Britain, but it's also about levelling up. One of the major shipyards described it as the missing seed in the UK shipbuilding strategy. It's providing that steady work and enabling that investment.
The first one is £150 million. The cost of taxpayers, how much?
Well, we're not asking for government to step up the cash for that. Government can help us in other ways. We've asked for some help just finalising our planning on this. There'll have been a huge amount of work that was done on things like the National Flagship Project. We want to make use of that, and we want to ensure we're doing things in the smartest way. So government can help us with that insight and advice. There's all sorts of things they offer the shipbuilding sector in terms of guarantees and things like that. But we think that if the government will say that it will call on these ships if it needs maritime assets, that will help us raise finance.
So you raise money privately?
Raising money privately to do this, and we would establish a ship operating company that would be running this. It's not a civil servant that's going to be running this. They'll be very pleased to hear. But I think this is what we should be doing. It's increasing opportunities for UK businesses and the incredible humanitarian charities that we have in this country.
You mentioned the National Flagship Project, Boris Johnson's idea to maybe as seen as a replacement for HMY Britannia, decommissioned by Labour's government in 1997. Is it a replacement in some way for Britannia?
I think the spirit of Britannia lives on in these and other ships. I mean, I was brought up in Portsmouth. Britannia was often there. She was the most glamorous thing I'd ever seen in my life. And she really, people have an affection for her because she really was brand Britain. And she went around the world and she said a lot about our nation, and events were hosted on there. This ship lives, it's going to continue that spirit, but it's modern. It's doing ocean cleanup. It's doing humanitarian disaster relief. It's capacity building in other nations. You can imagine the kind of trade expos we could have on these vessels. So that's what this is doing. It's not another Britannia. Britannia was iconic and unique. This is about modern Britain and our role in the world.
But they are unashamedly decorated by the Union Jack and those colours.
Absolutely.
I mean,
because we are the prototype Navy. People copy what we do. They copy our uniforms. We are known as being a maritime nation, the preeminent maritime nation.
Is there nervousness to think about patriotism? Maybe in people who seem unsure about it, about trying to project this kind of soft power?
No, I don't think that there should be. I'm no doubt people will be snippy about this. They'll try and pretend that the UK taxpayer is paying for it. It's not. But I think I would say to those people is just look in your own communities and think about what makes you proud. It's the volunteers, it's St John's Ambulance, it's the incredible environmental organisations that are doing so much around the world. This is what we do as a nation, and we should be really proud of that. And it's beyond politics. It's not about Conservative or Labour, it's about who we are as a nation. And if we want to provide more opportunities for organisations to do that, and to get a good education, to support the hospitality sector, to support the maritime sector, to support merchant navies, we should be doing that. This is a really great project to enable that to fly.
Penny Mordaunt, thank you.
Thank you.